You are on your way back from work and you've had a rough day and you're quite stressed out. Somebody cuts you off. What's your first reaction? Well, a very normal reaction in that case is, why do they do this to me? Why do they do it all the time? How dare they enter my space? Why did they enter my line? And you get yourself into a frenzy, and 10 minutes later you arrive home, you're angry, and you open the door and you shout at your significant other, or you're being rude or disrespectful, or you're not saying hi to the nice old lady that you've encountered while climbing the stairs. Well, it's understandable. Anger is one of the most powerful emotions. Anger is more powerful than happiness, way more powerful than sadness, way more powerful even than fear. Letting go of anger is just one aspect of letting go of your emotions, which is one dimension of letting go. From books and from Stoicism, Buddhism, Taoism, own experiences, mistakes, and feedback, I found there are 5 huge dimensions in terms of letting go. And today we'll be talking about the first 2 of them. Because I don't want to leave you on a cliffhanger, I will list all the 5 dimensions now. And then if you consider that it's worth it, we will deep dive into each of them. So the first one, and it's no surprise here, is letting go of emotions. The second one is letting go of people or the loss of people in your life. And here I'm speaking of the attachment of people, not necessarily of saying, hey, I don't need people at all in my life, I want to be an ascetic. If you're an ascetic, it's still an attachment to lack or to having nothing around you or to deprivation. So neither extreme is good. The third one is the attachment to the events, the attachment to the things that happen to you, to understand what you can control, what you cannot control, and how you can accept things that happen to you. It's very important. It's one of the few things that matter when you're thinking of happiness, and we will discuss that next time. Then it's letting go of struggle or the need to be in control of all times. It's nice to perceive life as a fight, but at some point in time you have to relax as well. If you want to be in control of everything, you will become very rigid. You will be the opposite of what a Taoist would try to be like. It's said that you should be like the water. You should be malleable. You should be flexible. You should understand that by softness you can achieve much more than through rigidity. So we will also explore this. And the fifth one is letting go of addictions or excesses. And that's because when something is extremely pleasurable or it allows you to escape your normal life, it's very tempting to do so. It can be food, it can be video games, it can be smoking, it can be alcohol, it can be even a person, it can be anything, right? You have to take things in moderation, but let's go now to discuss the emotions, how to let go of emotions, and how to become a bit more balanced. When you are in a fit of rage, literally nothing else matters. And this is very important to know, because see, that kind of explains the idea of why we cannot have something beautiful for the long term, or why humans are kind of drawn into the destruction phase, but it also very well explains the effects that anger has on your body, because if it's that powerful, it means it should have a very powerful effect. And you can all know this anecdotically, that when you are angry at something, well, your head is pounding, your blood pressure is rising. You cannot feel your blood pressure anyway, but you feel tense, you feel almost like you would explode. So an art of letting go is an art that's millennia old. There are very few ideas that all human beings kind of adhere to over the times, and trying to let go of things is one of them. You can find this in almost all of the major religions. You can also find this in teachings like Stoicism, Taoism as well. Taoism can also be considered a religion, but in Buddhism is based on the idea of letting go. And see, how come so many people develop this idea over so many spaces geographically without even communicating to one another? Well, people needed to let go of things. People needed to have a reset button, okay? And here I want to share a great quote from Dale Carnegie. So when I had trouble with insomnia in 2016, I was trying different pills, I was trying different things, and nothing would work. So I remember very vividly, I was walking down this corridor next to a water, an embankment basically, and I was listening to this book by Dale Carnegie, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And there is a large chunk of it which was called Live in Day-Tight Compartments, which means, and the metaphor was that a ship has compartments that if one floods, there is a door that gets sealed and the water doesn't trick into the other departments. Obviously, in the book it's explained much better than I'm trying to very briefly here, but the whole idea is that if one tiny thing happens to you, we usually let it affect us for a very long time. Anger affects us, and I've read this, I'm not sure if that's true, it affects us for 3 hours after we experience the initial rage, the initial fit of rage, the initial fury. I still think that it takes a while for us to calm down, to cool down, and it makes sense because you address the external stimuli, something that maybe is not that important, with the fight or flight response, which, well, in the past we used this response when something was incredibly important to us. We were either being hunted or we were the hunters, right? Because that's when you use the fight or flight response. Use the fight when you are running after the gazelle, you're trying to catch it, you're trying to get some prey for everybody in your society to eat that night, and you're getting the flight response when you're being chased by the tiger, who also wants to hunt the gazelle. So yeah, it's the circle of life, the circle of nature. But we used to have this for very short chunks of time. You know, one of the reasons why humans had an advantage over the other mammals was the fact that we can sweat, was the fact that we can run for longer amounts of times. So a cheetah, a jaguar, any of those felines, they can run much faster than us, 5 times faster in the terms of the cheetah. But see, none of them can run for as long as we do. A cheetah, after it sprints, it has to cool down. That's what they do. That's why they're lying on the ground after they sprint. So they sprint, they either catch the prey or they don't, and if they don't, they probably won't be sprinting for the next couple of hours. And see, us humans, we could run after a mammoth or whatever for 30 minutes, for 1 hour, for 2 hours. It didn't matter that much. Obviously, the more energy you expend during that, the less you will have for survival. So you would want to catch your prey as fast as possible. But it wasn't a given thing, it wasn't necessarily. It wasn't something that we had to deal with. So this is why when you're in a state of anger or when you're in a state of anxiety, those states do not take only 30 seconds as in the case of cheetah. You can run those states over and over for many hours at a time. And the art of letting go is not even referring to emotions only. It refers to all of the things in your life, to all of your things in your environment, because everything will end. And this is not me being a stoic, this is not me saying, oh my god, we will die, everything has no meaning. No, I'm actually stating the opposite. Everything has a meaning, but you can determine the meaning. Okay, so now I want to address the second dimension of letting go, which is letting go of people. And I would separate this into letting go of the attachment to certain people and letting go of the attachment of a loss of somebody. The first one is voluntary. The second one, you have to deal with it because that's how life is. And you have to accept it. Acceptance, it's a huge part of a fulfilled living. I know maybe you disagree with that, I would be happy to hear your thoughts, but now let's say the attachment to people. So everything in this world is made of relationships. Each person that you encounter, to each person that you talk with, you form a relationship with them. And it's not necessarily bad to think of them as more than that, but initially each person that you meet is like a node in a nest. Imagine a neural network or anything of that sort, like a neuron, and then you have the whole lattice of neurons around. It's very important to understand that you form connections, but some of them do not serve you. It's the same as when neurons are dying. When they're dying, it's nothing that you can do about. So you might have been in the same group with a person, and now that relationship doesn't serve you anymore. It's fine to let go. It's fine to say, hey, we've got great memories together, but now we're in different times of our lives. We're in different, let's say, on different levels. And it doesn't mean that you're better than the other person. That's stupid. If you're thinking like that, it's not a nice place to be in. But I'm just saying that the reason why you formed a relationship with somebody is because you had certain values that, you know, they were common, and you both maybe had a very similar goal. Those are things that join people together. And when they are in opposition, it's very hard to have a relationship. Myself, I've been through that, and at the beginning, when you're young especially, it's hard to let go of relationships and of people. And you're thinking, oh my God, I'm such a terrible person if I'm letting go of that person. But that's not true. The guy or the girl in question try to sabotage your happiness, or they try to sabotage other relationships. See, you have to understand which are your red flags, which are your no-go-to zones. And for me, some of them are talking bad about you, lying, deceiving. Those things are a no-go for me. So if somebody does that, I just break all the contact. So when you have those red flags inside your head, you kind of know when somebody treats you wrong. And then you can say, okay, I'm giving that person another shot, another chance. You can give them the benefit of doubt. And I actually advocate for that. But I started, when the second instance happens, I started to cut all contact, because it's just, for me, it's just better than that. You can give more chances. It's up to you. It's the same as with values. I don't have the same values as you do, but we can both agree that if a person harms us in any way, it's not a beneficial person around us. So we should let go of the attachment of people. We should let go of the idea of a person doing the thing that we want. And that especially applies in intimate relationships. Nobody can be controlled by another person. And you don't want that, okay? You really don't. And see, you don't have to have something happen to you to feel bad. You don't have to have something happen to you to feel wrong. But if you have some weird, crazy expectations, then you should expect to be kind of saddened by the actions of the other person. So you should also communicate very clear with that person your intentions. But you should also be non-attached to what they will do. If they provide you with what you need, that's great, that's awesome, you can respect that person even more. If they don't, that's cool, it's their choice, it's their life. It's not reason to get angry or upset. It's just how they perceive things to be. If that happens for a longer time period, then again, maybe it's time to let go of the intimate relationship as well, for good, not necessarily just of the attachments. So now I want to speak about letting go of the idea of loss. And this is going to be a tough one. I'm really not sure how to spin it. It's the idea of being angry on the world and being angry on everything around you because you've lost somebody dear. And I've been through that phase. That's why it's so personal to me. And when somebody very dear to you leaves you, not by their choice, not by your choice, it's extremely tough and extremely difficult to accept the situation. I think the best thing to do in that circumstance is to feel the grief, feel the pain, try to comprehend it. For the longest time, it's quite difficult to understand what happened. For the longest time, you feel like that person is just going to knock on your door and say, hi, I've been away in some place and I just came back home and everything will be alright. So it's tough to realize the truth. You also have to be grateful for everything that person provided you in your life, which means happiness, great memories, a chance to develop yourself, a chance to be better, a chance to, I don't know, it can mean so many things, but you have to be grateful for what that person was, and you have to cherish the memory of that person. and not necessarily by moving on, but by continuing with your life and by doing the things that you want to, that you desire to achieve with their memory in your mind. It's good to reflect on your own mortality. It's good to reflect on the people that have passed and that you were very close to. And the best thing to do is just to say and just to think of how beautiful of a relationship you had and how wonderful it is that you had that relationship. There are the 7 stages of grief, which will help you much better than I can now. And there are also people that you can speak with in case you feel the need of emotional support. And I absolutely advocate for both methods. I think everybody deals with grief in their own separate way, but we should let go of the idea of a loss. We should let go of the idea of, hey, I've lost somebody and now I'm angry at the world. This is what I was trying to so you're not letting go of the memories of the person. You keep them very close to your heart, you keep them there, you keep them always with you, but you're letting go of your anger. Again, another emotion. You're letting go of the fury on the world. You're letting go of using loss as a crutch, because it's not, it just happens. And I'm not sure how to better support you, but I think we will all go through this phase in our lives, and it's unfortunate that we have to, but that makes us cherish even more the people that we had in our lives. So thank you so much for watching this one. I know it's been different, it's been a bit deeper than what we usually do, and I'm hoping that it helped you. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, whatever, and tell me if you have any techniques to deal with letting go of emotions and letting go of people in your life, or the feeling of loss when somebody leaves. Thank you so much and take care until next time. See ya.